Good morning, Clearbranch kids. Today, I'm bringing you your lesson from Camp Sumatanga. So Pastor Jeremy and Pastor Mark are here this week, and I got to come out here and visit, and I'm going to tell you today all about how we can make waves through faithfulness from one of the most beautiful places that I've ever been. So guys, you know, because we've learned this summer, that making waves isn't really just about water, but it's how we can do things in the world around us that can make a difference. When we have God's Spirit living in us, we can behave and act and work with people in a way that can change their lives for the better. And today we're going to learn, like I said, all about faithfulness. So from the book of 1 Samuel, we find out about an unlikely pair of friends. One was David, who was a shepherd boy, and the other was Jonathan, who was the son of King Saul. Now, they couldn't have grown up any more differently. David out as a shepherd, the youngest of 8 sons, and Jonathan growing up in the palace as the son of the king of Israel. However, things began to change for David when Samuel came out, when he was sent by the Lord to find who would be the next king of Israel. That's when Samuel met Jesse, David's dad, and their family, and he met David, and God told him that David would be the next king. Well, not long after that, when the Israelites were at war with the Philistines, David kind of inadvertently got involved, and he ended up killing Goliath. Now, you've probably heard that story about how that happened, and that's not today's story, though. But it was so impressive that word got around pretty quickly, and King Saul even heard about it. And because of David's heroic behavior, he asked for David to come to the palace, and he made him a part of his army. Now, that is where David met Jonathan, and they became best friends, almost more like brothers. Jonathan shared everything with David, and they loved each other so much. But things got rough. See, David was a great soldier, and he was promoted very quickly, and everyone in the land knew who he was, and he was extremely popular. He was so popular that King Saul got jealous, and he acted like a child and threw temper tantrums. Tantrums that were so big that meant he even had tried to have David killed several times. Now, Jonathan could have been jealous too. After all, as tradition went, he should have been the next person to be king after his father. But we know that God had different plans. And Jonathan accepted that. And he, like we said, he loved David, and he did everything he could to protect his friend. And it came to the point where at some point he helped David, he warned him about another plot to kill him, and he helped him to escape. And he asked David one thing, because they didn't know if they would ever see each other again. He said, "No matter what happens, please promise me that you will always love me, you will always love my family, and you will always take care of us." And David made that promise. Now, for a while, David was on the run, and Saul was still trying to find him. Jonathan knew where he was, but he stayed faithful. He never told. And when King Saul and Jonathan were both killed in battle, David was so sad. But his time to be king came after that. And after he became king, he stayed faithful to Jonathan. He didn't forget the promise that he had made, which was to take care of his family. So he asked around, and he found that there was one son of Jonathan still living. And he brought him to the palace, and he told him who he was and how he knew his father. And he took care of him. He gave him all of his family's lands back, and he made sure that he was cared for the rest of time. I hope some of you guys have friends that are as close to you like a brother or sister, or maybe you are that close to your own siblings. But it's important in those relationships and in any kind of relationships that we be faithful, so that way they can rely on us. And remember, just like anything, we can always ask God for help to help us to be faithful so that others can count on us. Have a great week, kids.